one of the things that's been highlighted at this Congress to a great extent is this new or newish concept of heart failure with mid-range ejection fraction. This is a real entity that affects about a quarter, 25% of patients with heart failure have this mid-range ejection fraction. And the ejection fraction notion has been criticized a lot because it's a crude measure, it's variable, and recent research suggests that there are many better parameters to assess cardiac function. Nevertheless, all of us that work clinically are forced to contend with ejection fraction because it's what we have. It is what we use to classify patients, it's what determines therapy, and it also continues to be used in clinical trials of novel therapy. So heart failure with mid-range ejection fraction is here to stay. What do we know? We know that heart failure with mid-range ejection fraction is increasing in prevalence because we treat acute coronary syndromes and we treat heart failure well, such that patients now have a better ejection fraction, not reduced, but mid-range. We also know that they are much more similar to the reduced ejection fraction patients, except it's milder. So heart failure with mid-range ejection fraction is, generally speaking, a milder heart failure with reduced ejection fraction. And very interestingly, we've seen in the last couple of years from trial databases that patients with heart failure and mid-range ejection fraction respond as well to therapy with conventional heart failure drugs as do the patients with reduced ejection fraction. But then comes the big challenge. Is it okay to change ejection fraction? Well, we have to face it, it happens, it's common. One particular category of ejection fraction change is the one that improves. And this is very good prognostically. To improve ejection fraction is a very good sign of improving heart failure, but there's an important caveat. Do not stop therapy if ejection fraction improves. Once heart failure, always heart failure. And if ejection fraction improves, if it transitions to a better ejection fraction, therapy must be continued. Otherwise, heart failure will get worse and recur. The other way, going from a high ejection fraction to a lower one, is more difficult and more variable. Many patients with preserved ejection fraction do not, but patients with ischemic heart disease in particular tend to do so. And there's a lot less known about this category. So the heart failure with mid-range ejection fraction is now the topic of many clinical trials. They are included in many of the HFpEF trials, and it's a group that has a particular promising therapeutic potential, although it's too early to say definitively now.